So we met because of the oral history work I was doing and the book that I'd written about Hollywood, and that Emmanuel had discovered that as he was beginning to do oral history work and using something that he could build upon. And that's where our communication and dialogue began. But one of the things I'm wondering as we look across this generational space, if you will, do you see a divide between elders and youth? And if so, what are some of the issues?
Oh my, there's definitely a big divide between elders and youth. A lot of times it's both parties are pointing the finger at each other. The elders will point the finger at my generation, like we're the ones that's just like, disgruntled and, a waste a lot of times. Not all elders, some. You do have some elders that are very progressive and do want to pass the baton. So you have like a bit of a power trip amongst a lot of elders that hold prominent positions for years upon years, and they don't really reach out to the youth to understand about the direction of where things is going. And when that happens is you have a big divide. And then you have a lot of the younger generation, my generation, looking at the older folks is just like, they're old and washed up. And sometimes they get very upset at the elders, for just being like, neglected. So they just have like, okay, we can just do without them. But we do need the elders' supervision. We do need their history, their knowledge, so that we could know where to go forward.
We still want to be vital. We still want to have a role, but we don't know what the role of elder is. We are really that generation that's trying to learn how to be an elder. A lot of us are living longer than our parents ever did, I mean, that was the goal, perhaps, to live if you made it to 60.
The elders, they have so much knowledge and wisdom and access to archives and documents and things like that my generation can use. And we have to understand that, like, none of us is going to live here forever. Something can happen to me while I just walk outside here. So with folks that's up in age, we have to have a discussion where, I'm in my 70s, I'm in my 80s, what am I going to do how am I going to be able to pass the baton for the next generation so that everything can be cool? I know that, it's in good hands. And that's why it's really vital, it's really necessary for us to be able to connect, so that we can be able to have something for we're able to mentor the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, so that, the 80-year-olds, they can just sit back and relax.
I would hate to see the younger generation start putting elders into one little pocket of what they're like and what they are. And we'll just say even within the Black community now. That's why I like to share my experience, and especially as a writer and growing up, because I don't have that kind of nostalgic perspective of upbringing. It doesn't mean that I didn't have a good, strong environment and a way of engaging in the world that was helpful. But I think what maybe your generation doesn't understand is that we've always had more narratives and more stories and more kinds of people in our generation. And sometimes you may see certain people and you think that that's what our generation was about. And so to seek out, those stories too, or at least make room for them or allow that there are other narratives there. Because some of what happened with our generation was leaving those communities and breaking away, like Greg Samuel was saying there, those people who had a something in them. And there's some people here like that. You had a something that allowed you to move out of a comfort zone and forge ahead because you had a vision or you saw opportunity somewhere else too. So there were a range of choices and a range of backgrounds. But
empathy, that's why I feel that's one of the main things. Empathy is key. You know, it's not about just being right or wrong. It's about perspective and being able to look at each other's, point of view. And for me to be able, for my generation to be able to look at your generation, to understand what y'all went through, to understand fully, the good and the bad of what was happening back then, and then be able to look at it, with today's lens, and then for your generation to also see my generation and what we're going through, and listening to understand, and not just be about, well, back in my day, no, it's just like we have a battle that we're going through. So I think that once we were able to understand and empathize with each other, then we will be able to find answers so that we can fix many issues in our communities.
I see that we've kind of interfered with that progression of young people thinking that there's nothing to move forward for, there's no hope, there's no possibility or passion. If we can see that there's a world open to you and building yourself up and your resilience will carry you through anything, that's our future. That's our future. And you are our future. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for